It is exactly 4 p.m. on September 19th, 1936. Two professional photographers are walking into the grand 17th century estate of Raynham Hall in England for a routine architectural assignment. Capturing an indoor photograph at the time required a highly cumbersome setup. Captain Hubert Provend was standing under a thick focusing cloth behind a large plate camera, while his assistant, Robert Indre, primed the volatile magnesium powder used to trigger the flash. Without warning, Indre gasped. He stared at the dark oak staircase, shouted, "Quick, quick, there's something!" and blindly pulled the flash trigger. That panicked, split-second reaction forced mid-century technology to collide with an ancient local legend. Blinded by the sudden burst of light, Provend was furious. He pulled off his dark cloth and immediately scolded Indre for firing an unprompted flash. Indre swore an ethereal figure was floating down the steps, but Provend remained completely skeptical. Seeking to prove his assistant wrong, Provend hauled the heavy glass negative down to the darkroom. He poured the chemical developer over the glass, fully expecting to pull out a ruined, overexposed plate. The steps materialized clearly, but layered over them was the distinct, glowing silhouette of a woman. She wears a heavy silk dress, draped like a veil. Her face is unnaturally illuminated, and where her eyes should be, there are only shadowed voids. The moment that chemical developer finished its work, Indre's fleeting claim was transformed into a permanent, tangible record on glass. To understand exactly what the camera caught, we have to look back to the early 1700s and the presumed subject of the photo, Lady Dorothy Walpole, the sister of Britain's first Prime Minister. Her life took a dark turn in 1713 when she married Charles Townshend. Not long after the wedding, Townshend made a devastating discovery about a past affair she had engaged in. Townshend's retaliation was brutal and absolute. He permanently locked Lady Dorothy away within the confines of Raynham Hall. She remained a prisoner in her own home until she died from smallpox in 1726. Her isolated suffering and sudden death left a lasting mark on the estate's history, fueling centuries of local rumors. Long before the photograph was taken, the estate had a well-documented history of sightings. In 1810, King George IV reported a terrifying encounter with an entity while staying in the very same halls. The visual traits reported by the king and numerous other guests were consistent. They saw a woman wearing a heavy brown satin dress with dark, empty eye sockets. A comparison shows striking similarities between those older accounts and the visual data on the 1936 negative. The shadows where eyes should be, and the textured bulk of the dress align with what those earlier witnesses described. The true impact of the photograph was how it seemingly corroborated an oral tradition that had existed for over 200 years. In December 1936, Country Life magazine published the photograph alongside sworn affidavits from both men, instantly causing an international sensation. Skeptics immediately mounted a fierce backlash. Paranormal investigators and photographic experts descended on the original glass negative, intent on finding a technical explanation. The experts reached a surprising conclusion. They found no evidence of double exposure, chemical tampering, or physical manipulation of the plate. Because no signs of fraud were found, investigators were forced to look elsewhere for answers, acknowledging that the camera had recorded an unexplained light anomaly on the stairs. The Brown Lady remains a rare case where a piece of folklore underwent the scrutiny of empirical testing. Even today, after decades of modern digital analysis, the photograph remains an unsolved mystery. We are left to wonder, did a burst of magnesium powder actually illuminate a trapped soul? Or did two men simply capture a remarkable and perfectly timed optical illusion?